have plenty of everything, except any scenes this episode. Hey yo, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 8 of The Real Fresh Wolves of Salt Lake City. So we start the episode off with Jen and her scamming partner, allegedly, and he's like, oh yeah, I got a couple more clients here for you. Yeah, don't worry. I got the old lady from down the street and her husband. Yeah, I got the whole deposit, don't worry, and I'm digging into their savings. And Jen, she comes over and she's like, oh, here's a banana, here's a banana. She feeds him a banana. She's like, oh, you make me so much money. You're just here to make me all the money. And I'm like, but how exactly is he making you money, Jen? I mean, just flip that laptop for me really quickly. I just want to take a quick peek at what you're doing to see how exactly is he making you money. What exactly does Jen do exactly? Like, I never really thought about it. What does she do to get money? I mean, I never really thought about it unless I missed it or forgot. But Jen, either way, we're gonna find out soon what's going down on that laptop. So just stay tuned. And then we head over to Meredith's house, and she's with the friend of the show, Brooks, and Brooks is making a smoothie, a fruit smoothie or something like that. And as he's making it, Meredith comes into the kitchen and he's like, hey mom, do you want some of my smoothie? I made you a smoothie for breakfast. It has fruits in it. Do you want it? Oh no, Brooks, I really don't want it. You know, the only thing I eat that is liquefied is alcohol. I do not take any type of smoothies. You sure, Mom? Are you sure? Because it has bananas and strawberries in it. You sure you don't want even just a little taste of it? No, I really don't, Brooks. I mean, you can enjoy it, but do you want to go upstairs and watch paint dry and like talk about the paint in the wall? Oh, that sounds like so much fun, Mom. Okay, let's go upstairs. Maybe the camera crew will follow us. Like, can we talk about something? You know, I'm like, okay, just go back to arguing with Jen or something, you know, something interesting. And speaking of uninterested, we go over to Jenny's house. And, you know, I'm glad that we didn't get another horrible scene between her and Dewey just being an asshole of talking about sister wives and having more children, even though Jenny doesn't want it. But unfortunately, because they have no really like good storyline or anything to really give, we have to focus the attention on the little girl, the daughter, and her science project. At this point, Jenny, just give your snowflake to her and maybe she could do something with it, or maybe she could do a drawing or, you know, throw it at Heather or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good for Jenny. She's about to make the chopping block. So then we head over to Lisa and her family, and they're going to check out this space that they might have their charity event later on for Jack's new men's grooming line called Fresh Wolf. And I'm like, Fresh Wolf? That's an interesting name. I mean, that sounds like something that you will call your private parts after you take a long hot shower, but okay. Lisa states that her and her husband kind of came up with the idea, but then her sons got incorporated into it. So I'm not really sure what does that mean. Maybe she came up with the idea and then she just kind of passed it down, or maybe he just got forced into it. But either way, she goes into the place, and of course she has to come in Lisa style because she's just like, hi guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey, is Jenny here? Hi Jenny. Oh, she's not here. Let me just say it anyway. Hi Jenny. Hey guys. Hey, this is Jack. Hi guys. Hi. Oh, I love your shoes. Oh, they're so fabulous. Oh, hey. Like, honestly, Lisa, I didn't realize it until this episode, but I think she's becoming my favorite housewife of this specific city. I mean, she doesn't really have much competition, to be honest, but I don't know. She just has like, she has it all, you know, and I like her energy and I like her vibe so far. So Jack, you know, he goes out in front of everybody and he tries to explain what his charity is for. And I believe it was a foster care because something with his dad was in foster care, but is it me or did Jack, you know, her son, kind of seem like he was forced to do this? I mean, kudos to him if he wants to do it. I'm all here for it, but he just sounded like he was reading off a script. But maybe he was just nervous because he was just like, yes, I want to partner up with Fresh Wolf and foster care. And but Mom, I want to go outside and play in the snow.
Keep fucking talking.
Okay, yeah, Fresh Wolf. It's really good for you, and my dad can use it. And he was also in foster care, and I want to do this for him too. And oh yeah, my little brother here too. He wants to participate. Look, he's hugging me. But yeah, I could use this space too. I could put the dividers over there. Like, that's the vibe that he was giving me, that he just didn't want to be there, that he'd just rather be playing Xbox or PlayStation. But, good for him, starting out businesses as he's younger, and, maybe when he's older, he'll be a millionaire. And so then we head over to Mary, Heather, and Whitney, and they're all going out to eat, and Whitney shows up in what looks like silk pajamas, and right away she asks Mary, so what's going on with you and Lisa? Where do you and Lisa stand? And she gets a little choked up, she gets a little emotional, and for a second I'm like, okay, she's crying. Maybe she's about to tell us what really triggered her when Lisa said, oh, I'm gonna Google it. And then she starts explaining her story a little bit further and a little bit deeper, and the wheels in my head started spinning. I'm like, what is she? Because her explanation, because I had to rewatch like 3-4 times to understand what she was trying to say, is when her grandmother passed away, her grandfather was gonna marry either Mary or Mary's own mother. So Mary's mother wanted to be the next one in line so she can inherit the church's money, the people's money, every money, like all the wealth that Mary now has. But Mary said that because of the will of God, God, I was about to say will, who's will? But God sent her a sign or something, or, sent her a Instagram notification that she's the next one to be in line, and that she has to marry her grandfather. And she's going to be the next one in line to receive all the money, and her mom is not. So when her mom was like, are you sure you want to do that? That's what triggered her with Lisa, because Lisa was like, well, I'm going to Google it just to make sure. So when her mom questioned her, she was just like, wait, why are you questioning me? I know what I'm saying is right and what I feel is right. So that's why she was crying. I was like, what? Like, what do y'all think of it? It sounds like a very interesting story. And I'm like, okay, Whitney and Heather seem to be okay with this, but how come I'm not understanding? Like, is this like a Mormon thing? Like, is this like we're just gonna pass each other around in the family like this? Like, okay, no, I'm gonna compete with my mother to see who marries my grandfather first. But then again, yeah, I don't get it. I guess it's unfortunate because they haven't talked in what, 25 years. She said that the mom doesn't want anything to do with her, or she doesn't want to fix the relationship. But see, it just goes to show that Mary, she could be a pastor or whatever she is at the church, yeah, a cult leader. And look, her relationship with her mom and her family all gets strained because of money. So at the end of the day, you could be all holier than thou or pretend to be holier than thou and run a church or be there for the people, but behind it all, you're really just there for money and wealth. And that's what you and your mom were competing with when it came to marrying your granddaddy husband. Yeah. So what have we learned from this story that Mary just shared to us? That you have to basically play the Hunger Games with your mother or your family in order to marry your grandfather so you could be rich. So then we head back over to Lisa, and Jack is doing his photo shoot for his grooming line, Fresh Wolf, and he's taking pictures. There's a whole camera crew. Everybody's doing a photo shoot. It looks really nice and professional. And then Jen shows up looking like a furry with that giant wolf hat thing on her head, but it like kind of looked cool. I'm like, Jen could really pull off anything, to be honest. Her fashion's never, it's never too much, it's never too less. It's always right, So I love her. And I think what adds to the aesthetic is that it's always winter time where they're at. So it's always with the furs, the furry boots, the furry jackets, the furry hats. Everything about it just looks nice when Jen wears it. And then she goes in and she tries to take a photo shoot. She's just like, oh, I'm going to show what a photo shoot really is supposed to look like. No offense to Lisa. But then Lisa's like, oh, let's go sit down. Let's go film a little bit over there. So then they get some food. They start sitting down. And then Lisa, she tries to stir the pot just by asking Jen, so, did you hear what about that video about Nick? The whole thing leaked about you cursing him out or something, about you just spazzing out on him. And I'm like, what video is she talking about? And then I quickly remember the video. I'm not sure how long ago it was. I think at the beginning of the year or a couple months ago, where Jen, somebody had leaked the video of her just spazzing out on one of her employees. She was going nuts. And I'm like, damn, Jen, is this how you talk to your employees when you're not on camera? Because on camera, she's like all nice with them. She's feeding them bananas, but I guess she's only nice to you if you're also scamming with her. So, ooh. And every time that they kept bleeping out the person's name, I'm like, who are they talking about? Is his name like a bad word or something? Like, is his name bitch? Because I'm like, why do they keep bleeping it out? But I'm like, okay, they're just trying to, keep it anonymous or whatever. So I guess that's what we're going to do. We're going to call him. And Lisa was just like, yeah, Nick. he revealed this entire video. What do you have to say about it? I mean, are you gonna take accountability? And then as soon as Jen heard the word accountability, she got triggered. I mean, she was just like, no, I'm tired of always doing accountability. It's always me. Stop. I'm gonna go to jail next week. Can't you just let me go this one week? Why do I always have to have accountability? I didn't do anything. Leave me alone. And I'm like, Jen, you wouldn't have to have accountability if you wouldn't do these actions. Every time Jen is put on the spot, she thinks that people are attacking her, but they're just calling her out for the actions that she did. But she thinks that these attacks are just coming out of nowhere. Like, we're just trying to ask questions. What are you so upset about? And she's like, oh, yeah, Whitney. This is how Lisa also tried to throw Whitney underneath the bus. She's like, Whitney, she gifted her some, she gifted some gifts of hers. So what do you have to say about that? And Jen is like, what? I can't believe it. What do you mean Whitney gave gifts to Nick? And Lisa's like, yeah, I wouldn't give Nick anything or any gift if I knew that he was having an issue with my friends. So, that's so much for loyalty, right, Jen? Are you gonna try to stir something up with Whitney? Go hit her when we see her next time, okay? Like, I told her that we were gonna be friends again, but I was just lying. I'll take your side regardless. So, yeah, what do you have to say about that? Are you gonna get upset about it? I think you should hit her. Between Heather, Whitney, and Lisa, all three of them are shit stirrers, because Whitney and Heather, something I noticed in that scene with Mary is that they both try to be sneaky about, trying to stir the pot, but they're so obvious with it when they ask certain questions or they direct the conversation a certain way. So Whitney and Heather, I'm looking at you and I see it. And Jen's excuse is, oh yeah, I trusted because he was from Hawaii. And I'm like, what? What does that have to do with anything? That's like me saying, oh yeah, I trust so-and-so only because I saw them at aisle 3 at the grocery store near the vegetable section. So now I trust him with my life. Like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, is Jen from Hawaii? I think she is, right? Or I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So is it because of that? Like, because you can relate to that's why you trusted him? I mean, pretty foolish if you ask me, Jen. I mean, and just because he recorded you doesn't mean that he's breaking trust with you. I mean, he was recording you spazzing out on him and going insane. So, I mean, that's just proof and receipts, just in case if anything gets brought up in the future, he has some recordings. So then we head over to Whitney and her brother, and they're rollerblading through the park. Eventually, they sit down to talk, and Whitney reveals to us that she has not talked to her dad in 6 months because he is still battling his sobriety. I mean, he was trying to cover it up with this one specific day where he was gone, and he was trying to hide it from her, but eventually Whitney found out because she's just like, Dad, no, you're not sober right now. And eventually she had to distance herself from him. She's like, I don't want anything to do with him right now. And it's been 6 months ever since. And it's very unfortunate because I actually like not their relationship, but I like their dynamic that they were showing to us in the first season. It seemed very raw and seemed very genuine and real. And that's what I like to see on the show, when the family connection is real and something you're trying to help somebody out. And I feel like Whitney really, really did care about her dad, but unfortunately, you can only help somebody so much before they don't want it. You can't hold their hand all the way to the finish line. And I hope that off of camera, she's trying to, maybe mend the relationship or trying to at least maybe help him, but from afar. I know that it could take a huge toll on your mind frame, and I just know it must not be easy. And I wonder how her brother, I wonder how his relationship is with the dad, because he really didn't speak much on it, but I wonder how often does he communicate with the dad. So then we have a lunch gathering between Heather and Meredith and their daughters. And as soon as the scene started and I saw Heather and her daughter, all I kept thinking was, please don't talk about her sex life. Please don't talk about her sex life. Please don't talk about her sex life. Is she talking about her sex life? She's not? Oh, she's talking about a little person going to Cancun with him. Okay, we could get through this scene. I'm like, please do not drag out that topic anymore. They started the conversation talking about college, and I'm like, please no, change the direction quickly. But luckily they did. Heather, she started venting again how she didn't get to do certain things in college again, and she didn't get to live her life again. And the closest she got to it was going on to Cancun with a little person that needed assistance, and she got a bottle of alcohol when she was 18. So I'm like, okay, so I guess we can live with that. And then Meredith, she kind of threw me for a loop with what she said. She was like, Heather, I was wondering, I have this house And I was wondering if we were gonna get everybody together, you know, the usual suspects, and we were gonna go on this trip together, like a cast trip, you know. But that's basically what I was saying. No, you're invited. Yes, you're invited. And then Heather, she asked Meredith, so wait, is Jen also invited? Like she's invited, right? And then Meredith, she's just like, well, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I really want her to go, but I mean, if you want to invite her, you can invite her yourself. You can invite her for me, but I don't really care anymore. I mean, after the whole situation with Brooks, it's just after the whole situation with Brooks, it just became too intolerable. But you can ask her regardless. I'm like, come on, Meredith, you know, speak up a little bit. You know, sometimes you just gotta slap somebody in the back of the head to hurry up. And I'm just like, why are you trying to start a mess with Jen? She apologized to you and Brooks, and now you're just picking on her for what reason again? Just because I don't understand where this issue is coming from. It seems like Meredith wasn't gonna be happy regardless whether Jen apologized or not. And look, she proved it right here. And I think I said that in my review when Jen and her were going at it at the ski slopes or whatever, when they were ice fishing. I said that whether Jen apologizes or not, I don't think Meredith is going to care, and she's still going to hold a grudge. So look, everything that Brooks went through with Jen was for nothing, because at the end of the day, you still hold it against her. So Meredith, which one is it going to be? And stop being fake and phony and, you know, telling her that everything is okay, but deep down inside, you're not okay with it, and you're just looking for a reason to call the FBI on her next week, because we all know it's coming. So then we head over to Heather's house, and Jen comes over with a bunch of gifts that she brought with the stolen money that she scammed from people, allegedly. And it ends up being a bunch of sex activities, sex toys, you know, ring toss, but instead of the typical ring toss is a penis toss, and they start playing with it, they start talking. Heather starts telling Jen, oh yeah, I'm gonna put myself more out there, you know, I want men to want me, so I'm just gonna really put everything out there. And by everything, I mean all of this. And I'm like, okay, Heather, do you. That's what we wanna see. We wanna see you, you know, dating around, you know, have a one night stand, you know, go have a threesome, do something, you know, Eiffel Tower, anything at this point, you know, anything that is interesting. And then they start talking about Lisa, and Lisa is also moving fishy, and she's moving a little bit, I'm like, wait, why are you and Meredith acting like this to Jen or to the group in general? Because Heather, she finds out that Whitney is going to the Fresh Wolf event that Jack is having with Lisa, that Meredith is over at now. And they're like, wait, how come you weren't invited though? Because Jen and Lisa are friends. So how come Jen wasn't invited? I'm so curious and lost as to why Lisa wouldn't extend the invitation out to her. Did she think that Jen was gonna show up and act a fool or something? Or like, you know, become a mess or something? Or start something with Meredith or Brooks? Is that why? Because you just had Jen at the photo shoot earlier, and now you're not inviting her to the charity event, which has to do with foster care, and that is something that runs in Jen's family, and you know that. Lisa, what are you doing here? Are you just trying to be messy too? Or are you trying to, like Heather say, are you trying to sling mud and trying to pretend like you didn't do it? Because it's very obvious what you're doing. I mean, it's not obvious because I don't know what you're doing. I'm kind of confused. I'm like, I just don't get it. You're her friend, you know? And if Whitney's going, why wouldn't Jen go? I'm so lost. And Heather, why are you not going either? So I don't know. And then Heather also tells Jen about the invitation that Meredith basically just kind of threw at Jen. And Jen is like, wait, so I thought me and Meredith were okay. Why is she doesn't want to invite me? Why am I hearing this from you, Heather, instead of Meredith? And she's like, oh, I'm going to just confront Meredith at the trip. So these friendships are just they're very fickle, like the ice around Salt Lake City, because I am confused as to why these women are trying to be shady or don't want to invite each other to the event, knowing that they kind of mended their fences. I think that's how the quote goes, right? Knowing that they fixed their issues, but they still want to be shady to each other. So back over at Jack's event, Lisa and Meredith are talking, and Lisa brings up Jen. And then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, is the reason why Lisa didn't extend the invitation out to Jen because she kind of spazzed out earlier when she brought up and the whole situation with Whitney sending gifts? Is that why? Is that the reason why? I mean, if it is, is it a valid reason not to invite her? I mean, she wasn't specifically mad at you, I guess. She was just mad at the situation. But then again, I don't know. It could go either way. So I think that that's probably why she didn't invite Jen over. And she was telling Meredith about it. And Meredith was just like, well, I mean, I don't think Whitney would just send out gifts like that. I mean, maybe she just sent it out because he brought the product or something. So I don't know. But then Lisa gets distracted because a cameraman, a photographer comes over and he's like, okay, I need to distract you because Andy paid me $20 extra. So we could manipulate the scene between Cameron, you know, your friend, and Meredith. So I need you to come over here with me so I could pretend to take pictures. This camera doesn't even work. I don't even know. I'm not even a photographer. I'm a painter. So just come over here anyways. So then we meet Cameron, which is Lisa's friend and a mutual friend with Mary. And he also used to go to Mary's church. And by the way, he also passed away recently, I believe, according to Lisa's post online. So that's pretty sad. I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay, it was strange watching the show, and I'm like, oh, he's not here with us anymore. And then he goes over with Meredith, and Meredith is like, so how did you know Mary? Like, how was that? Like, where did that come about? And he starts giving me, creepy, I know what you did last summer vibes, because he's like, oh, well, Mary just, I used to go to the church and get out. You need to get out quickly. Like, if you're anywhere near that church, get out. That's basically what he was saying, that, that Mary and her grandfather husband is just, they do some pretty interesting things and not very good things at that. And I'm like, what are they doing in the church? And I kind of wish that the same way that they're talking about this video that leaked of Jen's employee, I wish that we could talk about the video or the audio that we heard of Mary screaming at the people in her church. I'm not sure if any of you have heard that leak, but if you're not, you need to go and Google it, because Mary sounded insane the way she was screaming at the people of the church. I think she was saying like, oh, it's a shame, it's disgusting that none of you are giving the church money or something like that. It was something with money. And I'm like, Mary, I don't know. I feel like what this guy Cameron was trying to tell Meredith is like, yeah, it's a cult. Like, I don't know. That's the vibe I get from Mary's church. Again, Mary is very entertaining to watch on the show, and she's cool. But I just feel like, who is really gonna listen to her at a church? I wouldn't go to any church if I was any of them to go listen to Mary. I don't see it, especially with how her mind works. Absolutely not. So he was just basically dropping little hints like, yeah, just stay away from her. That's all I'm going to say. But I used to really love Mary, but now we're not really friends. And Meredith, she was shook. And then she goes over to Lisa, and Lisa's like, what happened? What happened? What happened? And she's just so shook up. She's like, I was just talking to your friend Cameron, and he's just telling me everything about this church that Mary runs. And he's like, oh, something happened. Their relationship ended. What's going on? And Lisa also has some dirt on Cameron. Not really dirt, but like some secrets. But she's like, I'm not really comfortable to talk about it right now, so maybe for a different night. And I'm like, what is Mary hiding? I feel like if Mary stays on the show long enough, we'll eventually see her get exposed for whatever's going on in this church, because that is a huge red flag, and it seems like nobody wants to question it. So the next group gathering, or whenever they gather, I feel like they should all question her, be like, so what's really going on in this church? Or go talk to eyewitnesses who actually attend the church and see what happens. But then again, they're probably brainwashed by her. So how much are they really going to reveal, And that was that, y'all. What did y'all think about this episode? Supposedly, from the sneak peek, next week is the big moment that they revealed at the very beginning of the season, where Jen supposedly, she gets arrested. But I feel like maybe what they're going to do, they're going to put it at the very last 5 minutes, and then they're going to extend it 2 weeks from now. I know how you work, Bravo, but finally the season might pick up. We'll see what happens then. I feel like, they could have put that earlier. They could have cut some things out and moved to that scene specifically. And I also saw, I'm not sure if any of you saw, that they're also casting for season 3 for this specific city. I'm like, ooh, they're not happy with the ratings or this cast. And honestly, I feel like the people that need to go is Jenny. We didn't even see her at all, besides the 30 seconds that we got at the beginning of this episode. She needs to go, because I'm not sure why she was even promoted to full-time housewife, or let alone given a snowflake. She should have just been a friend of the show or something, or give it to Angie. Angie might have brought something, but then again, Angie might have flopped too, because we don't see much of her either. So who knows how much she really brought. I feel like she needs to go. Heather needs to go. She's cool and she's nice, but she needs to go, because she's boring to watch. Her and Whitney can't be in a scene together and hold my attention for too long. Whitney also needs to go. her and that baby voice, I didn't notice it until this episode specifically, but it's just so whiny. She's just like, yeah, I'm over here with Heather. And I'm like, okay, Whitney, stop talking. You know, Whitney needs to go. She has nothing really to bring. You know, the situation with her father was interesting to watch the first season, again, because it was raw and it was real, but she's pretty just meh, you know, she's just there along with Heather, you know. So Jenny needs to go, Heather needs to go, Whitney needs to go, and I think that's about it. Mary, she's cool. I like her, you know. I like her. I like her on the show. Jen, she's cool too. I feel like Jen, I don't know, something about her this season seems a little off. She's not like all out there with herself. I feel like she probably knew that the cops were sniffing behind her and eventually she was going to get caught up this season. So maybe that's why she acts a little strange this season, because this season she's just so, you know, mellow and in the background. But we shall see. I would like to see more of her. I'm pretty sure that they're going to keep her. And Lisa, I love Lisa on the show. I really do think that she brings it. It would be so cool to see her on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I would love to have seen her be casted for that specific city. Meredith is the other one that needs to go. So Meredith, Jenny, Whitney, and Heather, all four of them need to go, and then recast all four of them and then bring in 4 new women. Because, you know, Lisa and Jen, at least both of them are entertaining and they could bring drama and something to the show. But the other 4 are just, what do y'all really bring? And we need to have more group scenes. They are lacking in that department. I mean, you know, the scene that we got last week with all of them, that was fun to watch. And then we go back to individual solo scenes with just 1 or 2 people. And that's not really fun if they're not really having much to talk about. You know, we can only stand to see Heather and Whitney talk to each other for so long, at least in my world, before I'm like, okay, next. Who should be replaced? I mean, that's basically the question. And I'm only asking that because I usually ask that at the very ending of the season of the Housewives, but now I'm asking it because I'm seeing the casting flyer floating around online. So I want to know your opinion. But let me know down in the comments what y'all thought about this episode overall. We shall see what happens next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.